All right, so today we're going deep on something a little different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a letter,
Okay.
to be exact. 1 Peter 4.
Interesting.
It's basically like advice from a mentor for tough times, you know.
I can see that.
Yeah, so this is a message to early Christians
Mm-hmm.
who are facing some,
Persecution.
persecution, exactly.
Right.
And it's all about how to stay true to yourself and your faith when things get rough.
Yeah, that's pretty relevant for anybody, really.
Right, like even today.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to look at how this ancient wisdom can speak to us now
Okay.
about things like resilience and faith in community.
That's fascinating to me how these words from so long ago
Right.
still apply today. You know,
Yeah.
the world changes, but
People stay the same.
yeah, we still look for meaning and purpose and all that.
Especially when things are hard.
Yeah, exactly.
And this letter just jumps right in telling us to like arm ourselves with the same mind as Christ.
Okay.
It's in the first couple of verses. All about transformation,
Mm-hmm.
saying goodbye to old ways, and like really trying to live with a greater purpose, you know?
Yeah.
So think about your own life.
Yeah.
Do you see any areas where you need to make a change?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, like those old habits that
Yeah.
aren't doing anything for you anymore.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's like hitting the refresh button,
Yeah.
you know, recognizing those things that are holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's negativity.
Yeah.
Maybe it's grudges, you
Yeah.
know, all that stuff.
Yeah, just choosing a different path.
Exactly. And it's not about being perfect right away.
No.
It's about making that effort to be better, to be more authentic.
And that takes us to the next couple of verses 3 and 4.
Okay.
And they actually paint this really vivid picture of this change from like a life of excess
Oh, wow.
to a new way of being.
Interesting.
And it even says how these early Christians were like considered weird.
Really?
Yeah, by people who didn't understand their choices.
That makes...
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Back then, the word Gentiles referred to people outside of the Christian community. They had their own customs and practices.
Yeah, totally different from Christianity.
Totally. And so you can imagine the pressure
Oh, yeah.
to conform.
Huge.
It was like going against their entire culture.
It's kind of like today when we try to stand up for what we believe in, even if it's not popular.
Mm-hmm. It takes guts to be different, to live by different values.
Absolutely. And that leads us to verses 5 through 7,
Okay.
which bring up these big concepts of judgment and the end of all things.
Yeah.
So for the early Christians, this was all about the second coming of Christ.
Right. They thought it was happening any day.
Yeah. But if we think about it, maybe not so literally.
Mm-hmm.
How does that resonate with us today?
That's a good question.
Is it like a call to reflect on what we do and how we affect the world?
Possibly. Yeah. To think about what we leave behind.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And, you know, it might seem a bit doom and gloom, but then we get to verses 8 through 11.
Okay.
And the whole mood shifts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it becomes this incredible message of love and hospitality and using your gifts to serve others.
Wow, a complete 180.
Right. And there's this phrase that I think sums it up as good stewards of the manifold grace of God.
I like that.
It's about recognizing all the good things in our lives.
Yeah, our talents and skills, all of that.
And then using them to make a real difference in the world.
Imagine if we all saw ourselves that way.
It would be amazing.
Like we're all responsible for using what we've been given to help others.
Exactly.
I always think of that saying, to whom much is given, much is required.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a good reminder that faith isn't just about, saving yourself. It's about making the world a better place.
Yeah, being part of something bigger.
And then we come to verses 12 through 16.
Okay.
And they talk about something that's sadly still relevant today,
What's that?
suffering and persecution.
Yeah.
We can't ignore that early Christians were really persecuted.
For their beliefs.
Yeah. They were threatened and even killed.
This passage is telling them to find strength in knowing they're not alone.
Yeah.
That other people are going through the same things.
It's like they're sharing in the suffering of Christ.
Exactly. A test of their faith.
It's about finding a way to keep going even when it's hard.
Finding that inner strength.
And finally, we get to the last few, verses 17 through 19.
Okay.
And they bring up this idea that judgment begins within the community of believers.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's that phrase, if the righteous scarcely be saved.
Wow, that's intense.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Like nobody gets a free pass.
Even the good ones.
Even the good ones.
Yeah.
Everyone is held accountable.
For their actions.
Yeah, it's about really owning your choices.
Living in accordance with your values.
Exactly. So what can we take away from all this?
Yeah, that's the big question.
First Peter 4 is basically like a guidebook for life.
For the ups and downs.
Yeah, it tells us to embrace change, to live authentically, to find strength in our community, and to use our gifts to make a difference.
I like it.
As you go about your week, I want you to think about these words and how they might apply to your own life.
That's a great idea.
How can you use this ancient wisdom to face your own challenges and make the world a little bit better?
Something to think about.
Definitely.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
Anytime.